Welcome back to the channel. As you saw, the engine is out. That tractor made short work of removing that engine. The only downside was the front support. It's not even a rad support, it's where the hood latch attaches, and I think it's a support for the front fenders as well. As you saw, the engine it was a little bit too long to get out, so I had to take that out halfway through. But the engine is out, and this frame still boggles my mind. It is solid. It looks better than the frame under my 08 Dodge Ram. I tried to catch as much oil as I could. As you saw, I ended up running in the hose, popped the garbage bag around it. Some people might think I'm a little silly, but I do plan on putting an epoxy floor down on the garage pad once the garage is done, so the least amount of oil I can get on it, the better. There is a little bit back there that flung out when the park brake mechanism kind of dropped into the pan, but not too much. I will move the car, try to clean it the best I can, then roll it back over top, just so it doesn't suck up into the concrete too much, because like I said, the epoxy floor won't stick to stuff like that. But the engine is out. So now the question is, what is this engine? Well, I was able to clean the numbers off. They're extremely clear. Sorry about that. And it's no longer a mystery. So the engine number 2205712-4 LS. The LS, I'm not quite sure what it means yet, but this is a 361B engine. So it is the 361, made between I think 1959 to 65, 66, something like that. But everything stamped on this engine does line up with the year as 1964 being the car. All the cast intake, the exhaust manifolds, the water pump, all of them have stamps on them. The latter part of 1963, so definitely is probably a 64 car for sure, and engine. And other than the color of the engine, because I thought they would have been bluish turquoise color, but it is definitely red, original red color. I scraped through the block, so it is original color. But it is a 361B engine, which is perfectly fine with me. 383 would have been cool, but the 361, that was a standard at the time, and easy to get parts for. Lots of stuff available for it. It'd be fairly easy and fairly cheap to rebuild this engine. So now for the next steps and what I do plan on doing. So everything in here, in this engine bay, is only light surface rust that is on thing. There is no rust at all inside here. And yes, you know, there's holes in the fenders and the quarter panels, stuff like that, which to me is 100% normal, because a car 8 years old today can't even get away from that. So for me, really, there's no rust on this car. So one of my next plans is to move it off the pad here. We'll get into a good spot and maybe get a tarp under it, and we're going to coat the inside of this with a degreaser, get the pressure washer out, and take off anything loose that I can get off, any flakes of paint, metal, anything that might come off. And once it's all clean, I'm going to remove all these old brake lines as well, because they're no good. I thought they were copper, but I do see this one here is actually bubbling up with some rust on it. So maybe it's corrosion, but it feels too hard to be corrosion from copper, so I think it is some steel lines, and that they are starting to rust a bit. So they're called coming off. They're going. Same thing goes with the brake booster. This is probably the original single pot. It's pretty inexpensive to go up to a half decent set of brakes to get good stopping between the front and the back, rather than this setup, because all it has now is one little splitter block right there. You know, you push a pedal, it only goes once. That is it. I'd rather have a good division between front and back, and that also gives me the option down the road to go with disc brakes if I want to go to go that route as well. So the brake will be coming off, and the reservoir. The same thing goes for the power steering. It's wet. There's a lot of oil in there, but it's not dripping. And it hasn't dripped since it's been sitting over in the grass. And that reservoir actually still has power steering fluid in it. So it's fairly good. But again, the line's probably about 50, 60 years old. Easy fix. I'll actually just make one at work. It's just a crimp-on hydraulic fitting. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's a flared or a JIC, either or. I'll just make my own new lines at work. And then we'll get in there with the wire wheel, clean everything up, throw some rust paint on here to slow it down. That'll take care of the bay for now. Then we'll be moving on to the engine. So with the engine, again, 361, it's okay. I'm happy with that. The downside is where I couldn't really see the crank pulley itself, and I did have a wrench on it before where I thought the engine was moving. Turns out it doesn't move. It is locked. I was over tightening the crank bolt, number one, and then probably just loosen it off coming back the other way. So this engine is stuck. I don't think it's moving at all, which creates a problem removing that transmission off there, because I do got to get the bolts out of the flex plate. So I do have to turn it over some. So the next steps will probably be is breaking this engine down to every single part out. I'm not looking at categorizing it or labeling it where it goes, other than the connecting rods and the pistons. It's all coming apart. It's all going into crates, and I want to get it down to a bare block. So that's probably where we're going to start next, is tearing this straight down, cleaning what I can, finding out what is good, what is bad. Is the crank salvageable? Is the cam salvageable? Do they just need to go for cleaning? You know, do I have to look for a replacement? Worst case scenario, do I have to go to a junkyard and get a new engine? I hope not. I hope that this is going to work fine. This 727 Torque Flight transmission, they're bulletproof. These are the same ones they put on Cummins diesel engines. They've used it forever. It's good for up to like 700 horsepower, which is unbelievable, really. And rebuild kits are almost next to nothing for it, as long as you don't mind putting in the time. So I've never had one apart. Might as well go for it. So we'll be rebuilding the transmission ourselves, tearing down that automatic transmission, doing the upgrades to it. There's a bunch of upgrades for it for higher line pressures, so it'll grab a little better. You never know. Might get this thing chirping or smoking. Hopefully smoking. And we'll have a driver. So anyway, that's the end of this video. Didn't have any other plans. I actually thought it would take a lot longer to get this engine out. So again, thanks for watching. Please, please, please subscribe. I have had a great increase in followers on TikTok. Don't know if they're coming here from YouTube or just from me getting myself out there, but that's growing quickly. I think I'm getting close to 250 here, 250 follower here real soon, which is awesome. They're just short little videos. Some are 20 seconds, some are a couple minutes, nothing crazy, just little bits and pieces that I take out of these videos, and sometimes I'll throw something in there that doesn't make it on the main build or the main disassembly here. So I really appreciate it if you jumped over there on TikTok. If you're a follower, look for at Duchesne's Corner. I'm there. And as for the channel here, subscribe, like, hit that bell, all that good stuff. I really want to try to make it to 1,000 by the end of this year. That would be great, just to get 1,000 follows on here. It's nice that I was able to help a few people. I do see the comments. I read everyone. I like everyone's comments, and I'm happy that I've inspired a couple people here and there to take on these big jobs by themselves. I'm not an expert at any of this. A lot of this is new to me. My brain is just mechanically inclined and understands how things work, so why not jump in, have a little fun. Anyway, love you all. Thanks for watching. Catch you next week.